So today guys, I have another episode of the Championship Transfer Rumour Roundup. We only have just over a week left of this transfer window and the Championship season gets kicked off on Friday night. So my Championship Week 1 score prediction video will be coming out tomorrow at 4 PM. So make sure you guys are around for that one. But today guys, we're going to be discussing some of the recently completed deals which have gone through in the Championship, and we're also going to be looking at some of the recent rumours which are going around. So what I'd be interested to know from you guys is, how happy have you been with your team's transfer business so far, and how many more players do you realistically think you need to sign? So first of all, we'll get talking about some of the recently completed deals which have gone through in the past week. Of course, we saw Casey Palmer complete a season-long loan to Blackburn Rovers. That will be a terrific deal for him. Didn't really get the proper chance to shine at Derby County, but going to Blackburn Rovers, I think they've got a bit of a gem in Casey Palmer. Bolton Wanderers have been a club who have been fairly busy in the transfer window in the last few days. I said in my prediction video that I thought that the reason Bolton would go down isn't necessarily because of the starting 11 they have, but the lack of squad depth. But since that, they've actually gone ahead and signed quite a few players, so my mind may change on Bolton Wanderers. They did complete the signing of Josh McGuinness. He's coming in from Charlton Athletic. Being a 6'2" striker, he'll of course fit into the way they play. I think last season in League One, scoring 10 goals for Charlton. They also went ahead and signed defender Jack Hobbs, of course last season playing for Nottingham Forest. Another team who has been very busy in the Championship recently has been Leeds United. They first of all completed the loan signing of Jack Harrison. He's a winger coming in from Man City on a season-long loan. Last season he played for Middlesbrough. Didn't really get too much game time for him though, so I'm interested to see what he can do in the Championship over a full season. And of course they also completed the signing of Patrick Bamford. Now I would be interested to get some Middlesbrough fans' perspectives on this as to what is your opinion on the sale of Bamford. Towards the latter end of last season, he was probably the best striker Middlesbrough had really. He really seemed to come into form then, scoring 10 goals for them last season. The fee in the end was around about £7 million, which could rise up to £10 million. But for Leeds United, they are looking alright at the moment. They needed a striker to come in through the doors, and if you get Patrick Bamford playing with confidence, he can be a terrific player. We also saw Reading complete the signing of Sam Baldock. He's a striker coming in from Brighton. Reading were in desperate need of another striker, and Sam Baldock, hopefully for them, will be able to provide some firepower this season. We saw Swansea City complete the signing of Barry Mackay. He's coming in from Nottingham Forest, and Barry Mackay's season at Nottingham Forest last time round was just a bit odd really. Under Mark Warburton, he seemed like an absolute world beater at the start of the season. The way he burst onto the scene after arriving from Rangers, he was ripping it up for them, but as the season went on, his form just started to fall apart a little bit. I think on his day he is a terrific player, he just needs to get his attitude right perhaps, but Swansea City at the moment, he could be a decent player for them. One thing I would say about this current Swansea squad is they have a lot of wingers. I think they've got about 6 or 7 wingers in their team at the moment, so surely that means someone will be moving on from Swansea. And they also went ahead and completed the signing of Bersant Selina. He's a player who I'm really looking forward to seeing in this Swansea City squad. Last season he was loaned out to Ipswich Town, where he went ahead and scored 7 goals and showed glimpses of absolute brilliance with his time at Ipswich. However, I don't feel like they got the best out of him. You know, he was playing under Mick McCarthy, quite a defensive manager, and creative players like Selina probably suffered, especially towards the end of that season. But under Graham Potter, I have a feeling that Selina could really hit it off for them this season. Definitely a very technically gifted player. We've seen Derby County go ahead and sign George Evans. He's arriving from Reading. Derby do have quite a few defensive midfielders, but one thing that you would have probably said about Derby last season, I think they had one of the highest average ages of any Championship team, and obviously what Frank Lampard has looked to do in this transfer window is lower the average age of the squad, and having George Evans as a squad player who can come in now and again as a young player and a young prospect, I think it'll be an alright deal for Derby. Nottingham Forest have gone ahead and signed Luke Steele. He'll come in as a backup keeper for Costel Pantilimon. Brentford have gone ahead and signed Julien Junvier. He's a French defender coming in. Obviously they were in need of another centre-back after, of course, they sold John Egan to Sheffield United, and it looks to be a pretty good replacement from what I've heard about him. Ipswich have signed Donaldson from Accrington Stanley. He's first of all arriving on a loan deal, and then the deal will be made permanent when he actually gets his work permit. So arriving from Accrington Stanley in their promotion season, played a major part of that. He's quite a diverse defender, can either play as a centre-back or a right-back, and actually came through the youth academy at both Tottenham Hotspur and Aston Villa, so I'm excited to see what he can do at Ipswich. And we've also seen Sheffield United go ahead and complete the loan signing of Ben Woodburn, coming in on a season-long loan from Liverpool, and I'm very intrigued to see how he goes ahead and does at Sheffield United. There are a lot of Championship clubs chasing him, but it is Sheffield United who has won his signature in the end. Of course, they were in need of a little bit of flair after they sold David Brooks earlier in this transfer window, and I've got to say, Sheffield United at the moment, to me at least, they're only one striker short of really pushing for the top 6 this season and going ahead and sneaking in there. So exciting times at Sheffield United. And Bristol City have finally gone ahead and signed a goalkeeper. They've gone ahead and got Nicky Meanpart arriving from Brighton on a 1-year deal, and from what I've heard from Brighton fans, they have actually had mostly good things to say about him, really. He's only arriving on a 1-year deal. He is 33 years old, but Bristol City were just in dire need of any goalkeeper, really, and from what I've read about him, he could be a good signing for that. So there were some of the recently completed deals that have gone through in the last week in the Championship. If I did leave any out, make sure to let me know about them in the comments down below. Before we actually go ahead and get into any transfer rumours, we have some injury news to talk about. First of all, that is Preston North End, who have just been hit by 2 devastating injuries before the season starts. Shawnee Maguire is going to be out for 10 weeks and Billy Bowden is going to be out for 6 months, and that just gives a massive hit to our promotion hopes this season, really. I said in my prediction video that Shawnee Maguire is going to be pivotal for us this season. He picked up a couple of hamstring injuries last year as well, and the same has happened in pre-season. And keeping him out for 10 weeks is going to be a big blow for us. We only have one striker at the club at the moment, that is Louis Moll. And Billy Bowden was someone who really went ahead and impressed me in pre-season, so I get the impression that we're probably going to be bringing in a couple of loans from now until the end of the window, but Preston's certainly in need of some bolstering after those 2 injuries. So we'll kick off the transfer news by once again bringing up Jack Grealish. This is the transfer rumour that just won't go away, but currently some people are reporting that he is still in advanced talks with Spurs, with them prepared to pay £20 million for him, and the sooner this is resolved for Aston Villa the better, really, because this has been dragging on for too long now. One player Aston Villa are said to be interested in is Nick Powell. He could potentially be a replacement for Jack Grealish if he was to go. They are said to value him at around about £5 million. I've got to say though, Wigan cannot afford to lose Nick Powell at this point in the transfer window. Wigan haven't really done a lot of business in this transfer window. They've only signed a couple of players. What they seemingly are doing is they are entrusting the squad that they got promoted with, and hopefully that will serve them well in the Championship. It's a good squad, don't get me wrong, but if Nick Powell was to leave at this point, that would seriously dent their chances of survival this season. He scored 15 goals for them in League One and will be crucial for them if they are to survive this season. Another player Aston Villa are being linked to is Jordan Hugill from West Ham. I mean, pretty much every Championship team has been linked with a move for Jordan Hugill at some point in this transfer window. He just wants to get away from West Ham. He's not going to get a game there, but currently Aston Villa are the latest team said to be interested in him. He's a fantastic target man, don't get me wrong, not really a clinical goal scorer. His best season in the Championship was scoring 12 goals, but as a hold-up player, you won't find many better than him. Perhaps a more ambitious target for Aston Villa is Tammy Abraham. He's another player who Aston Villa are said to be interested in. Now, honestly, if this came off, it would be a phenomenal signing for them, but honestly, I can't see it happening. There's going to be Premier League clubs who are interested in him. Obviously, his last season in the Championship with Bristol City, he went ahead and scored 26 goals that season, and he's too good for the Championship. You know, last season with Swansea, he was alright in the Premier League, and I think that other Premier League clubs will be coming in for him. If Villa pulled that off, that would be a phenomenal loan signing, but honestly, I don't see it. And in the last week, we are seeing West Brom chasing Newcastle striker Dwight Gayle as they are looking to add a bit more pace to their forward line. What's interesting about this is Rondon is being heavily linked with the move to Newcastle United. However, that deal is said to be stalled at this point in time, so potentially could see a bit of a swap deal going on for this one, of course. Dwight Gayle, a fantastic Championship striker, hasn't really hit the same heights in the Premier League with Newcastle last season, scoring 6 goals for them. Derby County reportedly had a £3 million bid rejected for Bristol City left-back Joe Bryan. I've seen it in quite a few videos. He's probably the best left-back in the Championship, really. Either him or Barry Douglas, they're on the same par together, really. £3 million, that's never going to get a player like Joe Bryan, but there are other Championship clubs who are also said to be interested, with Middlesbrough also interested. There are some Premier League teams looking at him as well. We've seen the likes of Wolves and Newcastle also be linked with him. Obviously, left back is still a position where Derby do need to strengthen, in my opinion. Forsyth is just a bit of a weak link in that Derby squad at the moment. One transfer rumour which has re-emerged in the last week has been Sergi Canos, who is once again being linked with a move to Middlesbrough. Now, I said in my last video that I actually fancy Sergi Canos to have a very big season for Brentford this year. I think they'll be looking to keep hold of him. I think he showed towards the latter end of last season what he can really do. But this link to Middlesbrough does surprise me slightly. Sergi Canos really doesn't strike me as the sort of player that Tony Pulis likes to go in for, you know. He is a flair player, quite hit or miss really, but under Brentford in the system they play, Sergi Canos fits right into it. With Middlesbrough, Tony Pulis, I don't really see Sergi Canos fitting into that side. It's also looking very likely that Ronaldo Vieira will be leaving Leeds for £7 million, going to Sampdoria. career in Italy. Leeds United fans, I'd be very interested to get your guys' opinions on this, of course. He is a very highly rated player at Leeds. Getting £7 million for him, what do you guys think? Is that a fair deal? And one very interesting transfer rumour is Ryan Woods being heavily linked with a move to Swansea City at this point in time. There are also other Championship clubs with Leeds and Aston Villa also said to be interested, but it is Swansea who are currently leading the race for Ryan Woods, of course. A holding midfielder playing for Brentford currently. In my opinion, Brentford have to do absolutely everything they can to keep hold of Ryan Woods. He's the heartbeat in the centre of that Brentford team who keeps them ticking along. He's a central midfielder, got a bundle of energy, and is very confident on the ball. One player who looks to be leaving Swansea pretty soon is going to be Alfie Mawson. He looks to be going to Fulham in this transfer window with a fee of around about £15 to £20 million currently being talked about. I'd say that Alfie Mawson, this deal was always going to happen really. In the Premier League, even when Swansea were relegated, he was probably one of the few players who could actually walk out of that season with his head held high. So a move to the Premier League makes sense for him. One really bizarre transfer rumour which came out recently was Leeds United were looking at Jason Denayer at Manchester City. Last season he was loaned out to Galatasaray. I don't see this one happening really, but if Leeds did pull this off, that would be a phenomenal loan signing, of course. He's a centre-back, can also play midfield. He's very comfortable on the ball, and obviously Marcelo Bielsa setting his sights very high this season for Leeds and their transfer targets. Perhaps a more realistic transfer for them, though, would be Thomas Callas. He's also been linked with a move to Leeds United. Last season being loaned out to Fulham in the Championship, did an exceptional job for them, and if Leeds pulled that off on a loan deal from Chelsea, he'd be a top signing for them as well. Reportedly, Wolves are said to be going in with an improved offer for Middlesbrough winger Adama Traore. I'm sure that Middlesbrough fans just want this transfer window to be over and to know that they got Adama for the rest of the season. But Wolves said to be interested. They're also weighing up options for their other targets who they're looking to bring in for more wingers to add to their squad this season. Perhaps if Adama was to leave, then Sergi Canos would be the replacement, but we'll wait to see on this one. Honestly, I think he's going to stay. Another transfer rumour which has resurfaced today is Joe Garner once again being linked with a move to Bolton Wanderers. At this stage, I don't think Ipswich are going to be very keen to sell him, but we'll see what happens with this one. Last season for Ipswich, of course, he scored 10 goals. His best season coming in League One with Preston, where he was able to score 27 goals that year. One thing with Bolton, it looks like they're going ahead and missed out on the signing of Charlie White, as he looks to be heading for Sunderland, so we'll see what happens with this deal. And another Ipswich striker being linked away from the club is Martin Wycorn, and his new destination is looking like it could actually be Middlesbrough, as they look to find a replacement for Patrick Bamford, who of course went to Leeds earlier on in the week. The fee being talked about at the moment is around about £7 million, and Middlesbrough fans, I'd be interested to know from you guys what you make of this. Wycorn last season for Ipswich absolutely hit it off for them, getting into double figures for both goals and assists. One thing that I think would fit into this his set piece deliveries are astounding, and him knocking balls into the middle for likes of Aidan Flint and Daniel Ayala will be absolute chaos for Middlesbrough next season. But I don't know, I'm a bit indifferent about what I think about this one really. Borough fans, I'd be interested to get your perspective on it. Another player Middlesbrough were being linked to was Luke Freeman. Quite a few Championship clubs were said to be interested in him: Middlesbrough, West Brom and Sheffield United. However, since then, Tony Fernandez, the QPR chairman, has come out on Twitter and stated that he is not for sale. So obviously QPR wanting to stand firm for this one. There were some reports before he sent out that tweet that QPR were willing to let him go for £3 million, which would be absolutely criminal for a player of Luke Freeman's quality. But since then, Tony Fernandez has come out and said that he won't be sold. And QPR, with a transfer embargo in the January transfer window, can't be affording to let go of their star players at this point in time. But that's a big shame for a club like Middlesbrough, because a player like Luke Freeman is exactly what they are in need of at the moment. Creativity to link the forwards to the midfield down the centre of the pitch is just what Middlesbrough are crying out for, and Luke Freeman will be an excellent buy for them. There have been a couple of Sheffield United fans saying that they are interested in Daniel Johnson from Preston North End, and whether this one's true or not, I'm not so sure, but honestly, I wouldn't really be too fussed about losing DJ in this transfer window. DJ is just sort of stagnated in his career really, and with Ryan Ledson coming in, I'd imagine that DJ is not really going to be utilised that much this season. He's a very frustrating player because he can pull out an absolute 10 out of 10 performance when he's in the mood, and in his next 5 games he'll just go off the boil a little bit really. So a frustratingly inconsistent player, but he does still have the potential to be a top Championship player in my opinion, just needs to get his head right. And we're also seeing Stoke City being linked with a move for Ashley Williams on a season-long loan from Everton. I think at the moment at Everton he's on about 60 grand a week, so Everton are looking to just get him off the books. Last season really didn't have a good season for them, but in the Championship might be an alright player. And then to wrap up the video, we're also seeing Jack Butland being linked with a move away from Stoke at the moment, with Chelsea said to be interested in the England goalkeeper. Since then though, Gary Wright has come out and said that he does expect Jack Butland to stay. If Butland does stay for this season in the Championship, it will be a massive bonus for Stoke City. But there, guys, are the transfer rumours which are currently going around the Championship. If you guys have seen any other transfer rumours which we didn't mention in today's video, make sure to get them in the comments down below and we can have a bit of a discussion about them. Like I said at the start of the video, guys, tomorrow will be when my Championship Week 1 score predictions come out. That video will be coming out at 4 PM, so make sure you guys are on the channel for that one. So if you did enjoy the video, make sure you leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, please do subscribe for some regular Championship content. But apart from that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.